Man, this shit is getting crazy. Never seems to amaze me. I think the devil's trying to play me. Oh, Lord.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Use Your Own Intelligence podcast. I am your host, Fritz, and today I want to talk about what does it mean to be an American these days, right? What does it truly mean to be an American these days, right? We're talking about a country with 750 military bases scattered across 80 countries and territories worldwide. And I want to repeat that again. That's 750 military bases scattered around 80 countries and territories worldwide. So it's not nothing to scoff about. It's something you got to really, put it to perspective. All right. This military industrial complex that, America has really got us really in too deep. It's kind of like joining the mob, right? And there's really no way out outside of death. I mean, you've done so much, you know too much at this point, and the only way out is death. It's like what you signed up for, there is no signing out. All right. So let's just say if we decided one day to withdraw all our troops and bases from every base we have in the world, it would be pretty much suicide, to be totally honest. We've done so much. And we got this misconception that we're the security of the world, and without America, the world would be in chaos, and, it wouldn't be a safe place. But, if you ask outside countries, it's usually the opposite on how they feel about America. We're the only ones that believe that if we don't secure, if our military bases, it's not in every other country, it'll be chaos. But, it's been a lot of times where you can truly debate that or just pretty much know that we've caused a lot of damage to other countries, more than good, to say the least. All right. It's getting to a point where it's going to be really hard, speaking positively about America, just in regards to the way we treat each other and, other countries in the world. Okay. It's just getting really difficult at this point to really figure out some positivity to talk about. America's in a tough spot, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't known, you don't have to take my word for it. Just go listen to the leader of the free world, your president, Donald Trump. He's constantly reminding us how bad it is for America, and how we have a lot of work to do, a lot of obstacles to overcome. Even, he's guaranteeing that we're coming into a golden age. All right, just his words example. But at the end of the day, we're not doing so good here in this country, okay? From an economic standpoint, inflation, you name it. It's just a lot of negative things that are happening, okay? So, it's a little quite concerning, where America is heading at this point. And one of the things I want to get into just to, explain all of this is just the executive orders that Trump has signed since he's been in office, January 20th up until now. Okay. Hasn't even been a month yet. And I got to be honest with you. Majority of the executive orders that he's signed are good ideas. But as I told you guys numerous times before, it's not really up to Trump or any administration to, make America great. It's really up to the American people and the citizens. Okay. These are just public servants. And the worst thing you can do is, praise a public servant outside of basically applying pressure to make sure he's doing exactly what our hardworking tax dollars is paying these people to do. You really want to apply pressure. You don't want to really kiss, ass in a sense. You basically want to, you want to save the praising until actually the end of his term, right? And really apply pressure and make sure that, remember that thing you said you promised us and you were going to do? I mean, this should be the tone of the average American citizen. This is not about being Democratic or Republican at this time. To me, that's too much of a distraction, all right? But we definitely got to apply pressure to, our public service. And what I want to talk about today is the executive orders in which he put in place, okay? And the first one I want to talk about, which I'm in total agreement, is the ending of radical indoctrination in K-12 schooling, which is kindergarten to 12th grade, okay, aiming to eliminate certain educational content deemed inappropriate. Now, if y'all not aware in America, and I want to get into elementary school because it's the most disturbing in elementary school, right? We have publication out there, books that are in these schools that are telling kids that it's all right to date the same sex, and it's also all right to be a girl if you're a boy, and you could also be a boy if you're a girl. Okay, they're making it seem like this is okay, and this is what's being taught in elementary schools. Okay, you'll see rainbow flags in elementary schools, and you just see a lot of inappropriate things in a school where you should only be learning about education and going to recess. Do you understand what I'm saying? I can't recall being in elementary school thinking about anything else. It was ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, adding, subtraction, reading, things of that nature. And I just couldn't wait to that, recess time period came where I can go play with my friends. Okay. It was really about nothing else. I could care less about LGBTQ-ish and learning about sexuality. I haven't even hit puberty. You haven't even hit puberty in elementary school. So how exactly, American people, did we allow this to go down? We can't blame an administration. I keep telling you guys, there really is no difference between a Democrat and Republican. When you're dealing with a government of America, that's exactly what it is. A small group of people that have been mismanaging our tax dollars and doing God knows what, with our money and just manipulating the people in every way. Okay. There's a reason why you have a Trump that's coming in office and signing executive orders like crazy, because I got to take my hats off to the American people. We finally caught on quite a bit. We're at a zero tolerance now with this government. And we're demanding nothing but, hardcore results for our taxes and basically our vote, which our vote means nothing, but that's another conversation. Okay. So by far, this first, executive order with ending radical indoctrination in kindergarten to 12th grade, I'm all for it. Okay. Kudos to Trump. Regardless if you like the guy or not. Okay. At the end of the day, when right is right, wrong is wrong. He's the leader, for crying out loud. There's nothing we can do about it. As I told y'all before, I can care less about him on a personal trait, but I'm not here to tell you whether I like the guy or not. It really doesn't matter. I'm just going to tell you what he is. I'm here to judge if he's going to do his job well now that he's in office. Is he going to serve the people as he's supposed to, as a public servant should? Is he going to serve the people and do exactly what we told him to do? All right, we'll see. All right, and number two, the next executive order I want to get into, the 10-to-1 deregulation initiative, mandating the elimination of 10 existing regulations for every new one introduced. Okay. And if y'all don't understand, why he would need to do something like that, let me just read off to you in detail from the White House website on exactly why this is in place and why he signed this executive order. Okay. Overregulation, if y'all don't know, stops American entrepreneurship, crushes small business, reduces consumer choice, discourages innovation, and infringes on the liberties of the American citizens. It also contributes to the high cost of living, including by driving up energy prices. Now, you'll be a lie to say you're not with that. One thing I cannot stand this government and what it does is the manipulation with the rules that it puts in place. You would have literally one rule trumped by another rule, just so they could have room to manipulate the American people. This has been happening. So when a guy like Trump comes in, noticing that the American people are tired of just that, he wants the executive an order and make it a 10-to-1 regulation where the new rule comes in and knocks away 10 other ones, which is great because we just need something that's straight to the point. We don't need any type of manipulation anymore in our system and telling us how to do things and what to do. If you're going to make some rules, make it clean and cut. Very simple, in layman's terms, what we need and what we can't and what we can't do. So this is another executive order that I'm for. But at the end of the day, like I told you guys, we got to put a pressure on our public servant to make sure that he's carrying his things out and doing it the right way and exactly what he's promised. Okay, so 2-0. Yeah, so Trump is 2-0 right now. Okay. The next executive order I want to go over. He signed an executive order imposing duties to address issues at both the southern and northern U.S. borders, targeting the flow of illicit drugs and other concerns. Now I'm with this one, right? All right, especially with the drugs. All right, the other concerns is left debatable. If I just want to talk about the drugs alone, we have plenty of presidents that have always wanted to have a war on drugs. This is not nothing new, right? But I do got to tell you that this fentanyl thing, that's pretty much new. And it's pretty much the most serious drug I've ever witnessed and noticed in my life, okay? I had a family member, definitely passed away from fentanyl. So, this one is a little personal for me, but I do get it. So I'm going to be all for this executive order, all right? Now, the other concerns with the illegal immigrants, I pretty much stand the same on that. If you're going to come in this country, come in here legally. Come in here legally, not illegally. So that's a common sense executive order. I can't say I'm against this one, so I'm definitely in agreement with this one. So as far as, so far I got to give Trump a 3-0 for executive orders, all right? But at the end of the day, he still has to show action and carry out that he's really going to do this, okay? So kudos to you, all right? Number 4, order the development of a plan to establish a United States sovereign wealth fund. And if I just want to read off why, you wanted to do this, here it says, sovereign wealth funds around the world, all right, as mechanism to amplify the financial return to a nation's assets and leverage those returns for strategic benefits and goals. The United States can leverage such returns to promote, y'all ready for this, fiscal sustainability, lessen the burden of taxes on American families and small businesses, establish long-term economic security, and promote U.S. economic strategic leadership internationally. So I got to be honest with you. That sounds good. Great plan to me. If it can do that, that's great. But there's only one thing I will have pushback on. If you're going to put something like this in place, and you're going to install something like this in place, we do need full transparency on how these funds are being distributed the whole way down, the whole way it's being executed. So we got to have full transparency. So when we see a public servant like Trump sitting in front of a White House, press conference, and they're asking them questions about these funds and things of that nature, we, the American people, cannot accept him just giving us an answer that we want to hear or just dancing around the question and not never answering it at all. That is the most frustrating thing I ever have to deal with the American people, is just the lack of pressure that we put on public servants. Because y'all got to really understand, you do know Trump is a public servant, right? For everybody watching this right now, are you fully aware that a president is a public servant and he's here to serve you, the American people, not for his own self-interest, right? And in a country where the right to bear arms, I'm assuming that you guys know you don't have to take that, right? You do know that once the president is put in place by the American people, he should be serving the people and not himself, right? So as good as an idea this may sound, I just read to you guys in detail what it's going to do and why it's here for. We just need transparency. So, I will be for this if transparency is there. If he's literally letting us know every step of the way how these monies are being distributed, what is the progress, what has been done, where is it going, things of that nature. So if he can execute that, no problem for you. I'll say he's 4-0 at the moment. But until then, we'll leave that one up for grabs, okay? Number 5, all right, he's issued an order to withdraw the United States from certain United Nations organizations and then initiated a review of U.S. support for all international bodies. I repeat that again. Issued an order to withdraw the United States from certain United Nations organizations and initiated a review of U.S. support for all international bodies. This one I'm definitely for. Being Haitian, this means a lot to me. If y'all don't know the relationship between the United Nations and Haiti and how disgusting and disturbing and abusive that relationship has been, you would totally understand if you studied that and you just know a little bit of the history, why I'm all for him withdrawing, the United States from certain United Nations organizations. And I do want you guys to know the United Nations is headquartered in New York City, by the way. Okay, so it's very much tied to the government here. All right. And just to give you an example on Haiti and how bad the United Nations is, okay, when the Brazilian troops were sent by the United Nations in 2004 to 2017 on the stabilization mission in Haiti called the MONUSTA, they were accused with sexual exploitation and abuse of Haitian women and minors, excessive use of force, and failure to address humanitarian needs, focusing too much on military control rather than addressing long-term social and economic issues. You could just look at Haiti from 2004 to now. You can understand exactly how true this is, all right? And another example I want to give you is the United Nations were blamed and later apologized for bringing cholera, if that's how you pronounce it, a nasty disease, to Haiti following the 2010 earthquake, okay? Cholera. That's the name of it. This outbreak was catastrophic, y'all, and it killed approximately 10,000 people and infected over 800,000 for the so-called peacekeepers from Nepal as their likely source, okay? So whether UN is sending people from Nepal, they're sending people from Brazil, these people always come into Haiti and they take full advantage of them, and they really destroy the nation more than help. So I'm not a fan at all of the United Nations, okay? He still has faith in it. He said, this thing actually has great potential, but at the end of the day, he's right. The UN ain't ish, to say the least, Okay, it's a terrible organization, and it needs to be done away, or it needs to be reconstructed. That's for sure. So I'm definitely with this executive order, hands down, being Haitian. Okay. Number 6. All right, this one is a little controversial. I can't tell you I'm really with this one at all. I can't really say I'm for it or against it because this is going to be very interesting. All right, National Security Presidential Memorandum, known as the NSPM2, aimed at intensifying pressure on Iran from developing nuclear weapons. Now, for one, I just want to say Iran is not a pushover country. Okay, it's not one you could ever control. You can tell what to do, and he wants to prevent them by intensifying pressure, okay, from developing nuclear weapons, all right? If y'all don't recall, recently Iran sent literally over 100 missiles over to the Iron Dome. Most of them were basically blocked off, and but a couple of them did land and hit some targets, okay? You're talking about a very fearless, powerful nation in the Middle East, all right? They're tied to Hezbollah and a lot of other, groups out there that are, fighting Israel, in a sense, to say the least. Okay. For a guy that's saying he wants to end wars and bring peace, right? Put America first. This is not really going to help our tax dollars in ending any type of wars at all. All right. This is going to basically heighten a different type of war that I'm pretty sure Americans don't want to be in. All right. So to try to find a deal to tell Iran they can't have nuclear weapons when you have them and a lot of other superpowers do have them, I don't really know how well that's going to go. I really don't. So we'll see how that one goes, Mr. Trump. All right. Last but not least, my favorite of all the executive orders is he signed an executive order titled Protecting Second Amendment Rights, emphasizing the administration's commitment to gun ownership rights. Now, this one to me is the most important, and it's very plain and simple and common sense. Okay. Without this amendment, ladies and gentlemen, the Second Amendment and being protective, we'll be pretty much eating soup, noodles, and bread every day and working for pennies on the dollars here in America. Because if you think you can trust this government to not take full advantage of the people when it's already shown over and over that it's what it does, especially with our hardworking tax dollars, right, and the mismanagement of funds, we'll be pretty much in trouble. There's not going to be a president in the world that's ever going to win an election without protecting the Second Amendment rights. It's not going to happen, man. That's one thing I got to give kudos to the American people. We do love our right to bear arms, and without it, it makes you very much un-American, to be honest with you. It's the only thing that's protecting the little bit of rights that we do, cherish here in America, okay? And basically, starting off the conversation with what it does, what it really means to be an American these days, ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much what I want to focus on, guys. The direction we're going and what are we doing about it and how we're going to go about it, okay? Bring it to my next topic, how this situation in the Democratic Republic of Congo affects everyone. If y'all don't know what's going on in Congo, the DRC to be exact, the Democratic Republic of Congo. At this moment, that country is destabilized. There's a group called the M23, all right? Recently, they literally broke into a prison, releasing thousands of inmates, okay? And upon of these inmates breaking out, they rush over to the female side, rape these women, and light them up on fire. These is just one instance that's happening in the DRC amongst all the other issues that they're having. But this is a very unstable country. But what makes it interesting, and and what you can't really understand is this country affects everyone. You're literally talking about a country that has the minerals and resources to make sure that we have Apple iPhones, laptops, Microsoft products, Tesla cars. Without the DRC, we don't have anything of these nature. Okay, you got to understand this country generates trillions, ladies and gentlemen, trillions of dollars for these companies. They generate their minerals alone, help these companies generate trillions of dollars, without a doubt. So when I tell you what's going on in the DRC affects everyone, whether it's from a positive or negative aspect, that's not me blowing smoke up here. You understand what I'm saying? This is true fact. And what's more disturbing, man, it's humanity. How we can't even have a conversation on these large platforms. We're not even talking about how this needs to be a conversation and awareness. How is a country that does so much for everybody? Why are they in such a disarray? Why are they so poor? And why is there nothing to be done? Okay. Me personally, common sense, using my own intelligence, all right. I know for sure if you follow the money trail, okay, let me talk to Apple, Tesla, and Microsoft here. If you follow the money trail, what I mean by following the money trail, all right, who are these corporations giving these checks to, or who in these corporations are handing over the checks to buy minerals, and who is handing over the minerals to these corporations? Okay, we got to follow the money trail. These corporations are then handing money, they're grabbing their minerals, they're taking them to their factories, and they're getting all their devices built. You understand what I'm saying? These minerals are just not up floating out of the DRC and they're just landing in factories and then we're doing what we got to do. There's a money trail here. There's somebody cutting a check for the people in the DRC and that government, and there's some people in that government that's handing over these minerals. You know, that these this child labor are slaving for and dying in these mines to get these minerals. There's a money trail. And if you want to know why DRC is suffering and you want to do something about it, there should be an investigation. And I got to put, the DRC government in forefront. They're not asking for it. So, pretty much, their hands are tied. There's nothing they pretty much can do. When you're dealing with big conglomerates that are coming at you and they can control you, and you're dealing with big time corporations who are in America, who's backed by an industrial complex that's going to tell you what to do, and there's nothing you can really do about it, because you got to understand. These superpowers, whether it's America, China, and Russia, they roam the earth doing what they want. These other countries really have no say. So when somebody puts a gun to your face, right, and you really have nothing, but probably a rock, a spear, your hands and fist. When that gun is in your face, you may talk as tough as you want, but you're probably pretty much going to surrender. 9 times out of 10, right? So I can't, there is some accountability for the DRC, government, the Democratic Republic of Congo. But at the same time, we have to follow the money trail. And as humans, if you want to just be humane and you care about humanity in any kind of way, right? If you just have a decent bit of, human, if you're humane in any sense, right? And this is what you like to use, it benefits you pretty well. Okay, whether it's the cell phone, your Tesla car, your Microsoft products, you name it, right? You're using these things and the minerals are coming from Congo. Don't you want at least the stability of that country? Don't you want them doing well? Don't you want to at least end the child labor, the violence, the raping and the burning of women and children? For anybody that's using an Apple iPhone and just products of all these big conglomerates, don't you want to know? Don't you want to lost a TikTok trend, follow the money trail? Excuse me. Don't you want to do a TikTok trend, follow the money trail, so we can really launch an investigation and everybody put attention to it? What if you have a big platform, you use these products? Don't you want to, if you're humane in any sense, if you care about humanity in any sense, don't you want to have this conversation? Follow the money trail. Who's cutting the checks? When these minerals are being handed to these corporations and then sent to factories, right? Who's making the deals? Because clearly there's some manipulation and some evil-ish going on that we got to put an end to, because there should be no reason why DRC, a country with so rich in minerals, it's in this condition. When you see this type of destabilization in a group like M23 that's in place to cause disruption, you got to understand it makes America and a lot of other countries go in there to do what they want and buy these minerals for little to cheap. Sometimes it's damn near free, to be honest with you. It's not a price to pay. You're just pretty much bullying your way because you're taking full advantage of the people and their instability. What's going on in Congo requires a large conversation, people. We should not be distracted and talking about anything else. This is disgusting behavior. For anybody that claims to be a bit humane, come on. There has to be something we can do, right? The conversation is to start. These platforms should be converting about this more. What are we doing really to fix this problem? And Congo is just one, But, I just, when I see things like this, I just don't understand humanity. But, it is what it is, right? Moving on, ladies and gentlemen. I want to talk about as well Roland Martin, right? And Roland Martin, he recently had a message to Black America. And what disturbs me about Roland Martin's, message to Black America is, let me read it off to you first and foremost, and I'll get into the details of why I really dislike Roland Martin with this message, okay? Roland Martin is complaining, okay, about every civil right and economic gain Black Americans have had since 1964 is being taken away, claiming it's a vicious assault to completely defund Black America, okay? But when you ask Roland Martin, what's his idea on how to go about this? Do you know what Roland Martin's answer usually is, which is what sickens me and frustrates me about a man in this type of message? He's going to tell you to vote Democrat. That's the answer. See, he's going to tell, in this country, we've had so many great Black leaders, right? That's been giving us the game, Black people. Giving us the game on what we really have to do, right? At this point, when you're screaming out whether you a Democrat or a Republican is going to fix your problem, I know that's a form of insanity. We've had so many Black leaders back in the day, whether it's Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, Martin Luther King. If you hear these gentlemen speak, they're always talking about Black people unifying their wealth, their resources, their votes, or whatever have you. Being a Democrat or Republican is not going to save or protect any type of rights whatsoever. If you want to be heard, Black Americans, you're going to have to unite. You're going to have to bring your wealth and your resources and your vote together. So therefore, people will take you serious. You're doing the same thing over and over again, respecting different results, ladies and gentlemen. It's insane. And I know for sure Roland Martin's not insane. But when you got a heavy check coming from the Democratic Party, when you're supported by the Democratic Party, this is the type of rhetoric you would want to spew in order just to get people to vote Democrat. But he doesn't really have real solutions. When you tell Roland Martin, hey, Roland Martin, you're going to have to, just offer Marcus Garvey, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, you're going to have to unite as one, right? As a people. Bring your resources together. You can't really beg this government so much being a Democrat or a Republican. It's not going to help. It's not going to help, Roland. So for all my Black people, and what makes it sad is Roland has a pretty decent fan base and a voice in the Black community. People follow him and they listen to him, but nobody has the common sense, right, to really, whoever follows Roland, to really tell him, hey, bro, it's not really about being Democrat. You got people still playing this game. If anybody out there understands the Electoral College at all, as I got to keep repeating myself, if you really knew what the Electoral College stood for, a lot of you wouldn't waste your time to go out there and vote. You really wouldn't. If you were really educated on the Electoral College, you wouldn't really waste your time falling between a Democrat or Republican. And it's just not even a race thing. I want to just talk about being American in general, right? This Democrat-Republican thing, you're going to understand the government is really playing you for a sucker at the end of the day. A lot of times, in my opinion, if you ask me, just using my own intelligence, why they allow the popular vote to go, they want to see what majority of the people want. And then that's when they can manipulate you. Because then when you can't get what you want and they can do what they want with you, that's when they start blaming each other. Well, I tried to pass this bill, but the Democrats, they wouldn't let it get by. Or the Republicans, they just wouldn't let me get it by. That's when you get played because you know why? You put yourself in a category. You put yourself in a situation where you're allowing the government to play with you. See, you're forgetting just to be an American. Let's set aside race for a minute. You're forgetting to be American, and you're wondering why a government is taking full advantage of you. If I was y'all, I'm telling you right now, you better stop this foolishness with being Democrat or Republican. It is a distraction, ladies and gentlemen. You really better put your American hat on and start being American. If you haven't learned your lesson, hey, I feel for you. See, in this country, to me, the problem is the educated versus the non-educated. The people who get it against the people who don't get it. The sheeple-minded and the people that are willing to question things. That's really our beef. It's really little to do with race. Race has something to do with it. Of course, this is America. Just, it has a part. But in all reality, it's between the people who are educated and the ones who are not, the people who get it, the people who don't, the sheeple-minded in comparison to people who like to question things and really get some real answers. That's really the people that you really clash with in this country. And you non-educated ones, the ones who are sheeple, the ones who don't like to, ask questions, you guys are really the problem America is facing. It's not any administration. They can be checked by the American people. We outnumber them crazy by millions. It's never government. I'm not here to even, I know the government is a part of the problem, but really the part of the problem is the lack of education a lot of people have and the sheeple-minded people and the sheeple-minded individuals. You understand what I'm saying? So for all you guys out there who want to, if y'all don't, if y'all could get a message out there to Roland Martin and ask him, all right, what is his plans? Instead of complaining about every civil right and economic gain Black Americans have had since 1964 being taken away, or claiming it's a vicious assault to completely defund Black America, question, Roland Martin and say, if you can, just give him matter of fact, give them a lesson like we're in class. Give them a project to do. If you can fix this problem without telling people to vote Democrat, what would you do to tell Black people to get out of this situation they are now and to really help and protect our rights, our civil rights? What can you do besides telling them to go vote Democrat? I guarantee you he's not going to have an answer. I'll be surprised if he says, well, you know what? You're going to have to unify as a people. We're going to have to set our differences aside. We're going to have to bring our resources together. And if Black people do decide to vote, it's going to have to be one vote. It's going to have to be the Black vote. Shout out to Dr. Umar. There's only but a few Black people with scholars and followers that truly understand this, man. Whether it be the Dr. Umars, they may have their differences. The Dr. Umars, the Tariq Nasheeds, the Rizza Islams. Like you get a few people up here with some common sense that really truly understand that being Democrat or Republican does not do anything for you as a Black person, or just as an American in general, ladies and gentlemen. But some have to learn the hard way. It is what it is. All right. And to end this, episode today, I do want to get a little bit into entertainment, and I want to talk about the hip hop culture. Okay. All right. And as much as I hate to bring this up, well, I don't, because, this guy's making it so obvious for me to talk about him, because he's always, online posting and speaking his, his 2 cents and everything. He's in everything, 50 Cent, right? And what I want to say about 50 Cent is what I continue to say before, I'm saying, I've brought him up about 2 times on this platform, but I can't, it's hard to ignore the cancer this guy is for the culture, right? If y'all don't know who 50 Cent is and what he represents, there's 3 things I put, that describes 50 well. There's nothing else to describe him, okay? Beefing with Black men, violence, and promoting drugs. That's all this man is about. That's all he promotes. Violence, drugs, and beefing with Black men. Okay, online or in real life, however you want to call it. That's all 50 is about. Those 3 things. Beefing, promoting violence, promoting drugs. That's all he's known for. That's all he's really good for, right? And the only people that really praise him and the one that he's cutting checks for, the Tony Yayos, that's his yes men, the Uncle Murders, that's his yes men, and everybody on his cast that he pays checks for. These are the only people that praise him. Recently, let me just tell you what makes this guy more of a cancer, because there's always something that he's doing to make him a cancer and a negative influence in hip-hop and just the Black culture in general, okay? Rest in peace, Irv Gotti, right? Irv Gotti recently was on life support, all right? And he was a diabetic. So, rest in peace, prayers goes out to his family, okay? Upon his death, once he got the news, 50 gets the news, he creates a tombstone, right? And on his tombstone, he has rest in peace. He has a hookah in front of him. And in this post, he says, I'm smoking on this Gotti pack. LOL, nah, rest in peace though, right? And if y'all don't know what that means when you're saying you're smoking on a pack and you put somebody's name on it, I'm smoking on a so-and-so pack, okay? There's a gang culture with young Black men in Chicago, right, that started this. And it pretty much spread it across to every other hood and lower income, neighborhood throughout America. And what these young men were doing, right, in gang-related activity, these young men would go kill an op or an opposition, as they call it, or an enemy. They'll go shoot and kill an enemy. And upon shooting and killing that enemy, they'll go back, they'll roll a blunt. They'll smoke this blunt and they say, I'm smoking on a so-and-so pack. Okay, this is what 50 is emulating when one of his enemies or whatever you want to call it from years ago died. Okay, you would think a guy that's 50 something years old is mature now, he's rich, he's learned, but there's got to be something that's been tearing this guy up from his upbringing, man, that he hasn't really healed from, man, because he still has this energy, this animosity. He's very much a negative guy after even all this success. Something is eating away at this man, right? But anyways, these young men would smoke a pack with so-and-so's name on it. And this is what 50 decides to get in front of the public and tell everybody, I'm smoking on a pack of a man that just died. We're talking about a guy that's 50 years old, emulating what he see young gangsters doing in the streets of Chicago and around the country. And this is the type of influence this guy is. And he gets on these platforms and, he's consistently on his BS, like I told you, beef, violence, and drugs. That's all he promotes. And when he gets in front of these major platforms and people are interviewing him, nobody really questions him and tells them that this is not good and it's really cancerous to the culture. It's all a laughing matter. Everything is a joke. People are entertained by this. Nobody is really ready to call him out and say, you know what, this is the problem. D1 Music, I'm surprised didn't say nothing about it. He's usually ready to call rappers out, but I guess he poses a certain fear in the individuals, but not me. Of course not. I fear no man. But at the end of the day, like, when are we going to really start really calling this type of behavior out? You think the rap culture needs this? You think black culture needs this in general? If you're talking about a show he does, it's about violence and drugs. If you're talking about what he's doing in social media, it's about beefing with other black men. When are we just going to call him what he is, and that's a cancer to society? Let's be honest with you, man. There's no good that he does at all. I could care less what he went to Shreveport and open up, because what he went to do in Shreveport, the movies and the shows that he's going to be promoting, they're going to be about violence and drugs. There's going to be nothing positive coming out of Shreveport. Yes, he gave people jobs, but let's look at the big picture. What is he going to influence when he gets there with his his movie set? What is he going to promote? Negativity, right? He's going to be a cancer to his culture. And there's nobody here to call him out. Everybody's laughing and giggling and ragging his coattail like this. See, this is the problem with the black culture in general when we're dealing with hip hop. I'm waiting for the reconstruction of hip hop. I'm really waiting to get back into an era where, we can really be proud of our music and it's really uplifting these kids. It's not encouraging them to smoke packs with dead people on. That was quite disturbing to see a grown man in his 50s emulating what kids do that he should be showing a better example of. But nobody's here to call it out. Everybody's riding with it, laughing and joking like, oh, man, I wouldn't beef with 50. Come on, bro. You ain't healed yet, all this money. It just goes to show money ain't everything. It really not. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to talk too much, man. At the end of the day, I really hope we, the American people, we really start uniting and really start setting examples for the potential of who we really are and what we really represent in this world, right? We have that. We have the opportunity. We have the, potential to do so. Set good examples. Everybody's trying to come here for a reason. The opportunities is there, but we have the power and the influence. If we're going to be in other countries with militaries and things of that nature, we really have the power and influence to really live up to what we say we are. If we're going to say and we're going to tell people we are the security of the world, we should act like it. We shouldn't go in there and manipulate other countries for resources at all and cause destabilization for us to go in there and get what we want and to bring it back home. It's enough for everybody. Let's be honest. There's way too much wealth. We're stepping into an AI revolution, ladies and gentlemen. You know that? But yet the people who are fueling this and the minerals in which they are coming from, they are doing by far piss poor. They are bad. They're doing bad. These people have famine, child labor, and all kind of violence and you name it going on in their countries. It shouldn't be that way. And you shouldn't be comfortable using devices that these minerals are coming from it and thinking that, okay, it's not my business. Because it pretty much is. It affects you. Some shape, form, or fashion. So as American, I just want us to really live by what we say and portray ourselves to be. I really do. some shape, form, or fashion. We got to start. This is getting crazy. What does it truly mean to be an American these days? And do we have the strength and potential to really live by what we say we are in comparison to what we really are? With that being said, thanks for listening. Have a great day.
Man, this shit is getting crazy. Never seems to amaze me. I think the devil's trying to play me. Oh Lord. But I'm a different type of nigga. Worth about 5 or 6 figures. Once that profit get bigger, you know. I gotta triple up on this cheese. Take a flight right over them seas. Maybe make a trip to Haiti, who knows? I just know that I have to go get it. And America's looking so hectic. Make you wanna grab the tech by the second, yes Lord. How the fuck it come to that? Most these niggas out here rats. And that statement can't be tracked, yeah I know. But these crackers is doing the sentencing. In the jail you niggas repenting then. On the block you be killing your men again, I know. This system been a trap. This shit must collapse. We ain't about far ways from that. Yeah, they know. We gon' get through regardless. All that small talk so harmless. I'll pop what's under this garment. Whoa. It ain't gotta come to that. Niggas been for peace till I proceed and really state the facts. These fuckers can't stand the fact we black. Jay Blake caught 7 to the back. And then I caught Aubrey with some armory. Tryna run the 4 flat. I'm tryna keep my sanity intact. But the shit is getting deeper. Every time I watch the news, there's some white dudes playing like the Grim Reaper. Nigga, I ain't never been a sleeper. Rest in peace, Breonna Taylor. But I swear to God, you touch my doorknob, your niggas gonna meet your maker. This country getting faker. They gon' tryna outdate ya. For the immortalized, they gon' prophesize, you ain't gotta speak the nature. Just when you caramelize, it's when they see demise, it must be second nature. You can do us all a favor. Go ahead and catch the vapors. Act civilized and match your eye for eye, cause there won't be no one to save ya. And I'm a lovable type of neighbor. Might run you a couple of favors. But when you cross the line is when I see divide. I ain't forgiving you like your savior. Is you loving this type of behavior? I'm just a man, I ain't trying to persuade you. Hey.